Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wyld. Today we are talking about cancellation rate standard on Uber Eats. Uber has made an update to its already existing policies. One of which was updated recently is the cancellation standard. One of the most vital but most ambiguous of the standards. So in this video, we are talking about everything you must know about the new cancellation rate standard, what they tell you versus how it actually is, and everything in between. But before we do that, let's go over a quick disclaimer. The content of this video does not contain is never intended to be legal, business, financial, tax, or health advice of any kind. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is advised that you conduct your own research and consult qualified professionals before applying anything you find online. I also want to be clear that everything that we're going to be going over is very market dependent. What applies to me in my market may not apply to you. So with that said, let's get started. Before this update, the cancellation rate standard was based on your local market, and they never really gave a hard metric for this. They just said it was like this local market average, and they kind of kept it as ambiguous as possible. In fact, some people online made a point to post about it and how they managed to get to 40% cancellation rate or something, which was honestly kind of impressive because that's like the worst cancellation rate in comparison to all of the other platforms. And if you're from other apps and you're getting cancellation and completion rate confused, this is a key that I use. Cancellation rate is the golf scores, as completion rate is the test scores. For cancellation rate, you want as close to 0 as possible. With completion rate, you want as close to 100 as possible. You know, assuming everything goes right. This is also one of the metrics that was implemented during a time when the accept screen was designed incredibly poor. You can accidentally accept orders as you're in the middle of typing to a customer or doing something else on the app, and they kind of needed to fix that first, but between the redesigned accept screen, the new profile page, and other important factors, we finally got to this update. The new cancellation rate standard. Keeping cancellation rate below 20%. Starting September 1st, there is a new cancellation rate standard in your area. Couriers will now be required to maintain a cancellation rate below 20%. This means couriers will lose their ability to continue delivering with Uber Eats if they consistently have a cancellation rate of 20% or higher. This change will help deliver a more reliable experience for everyone using Uber Eats. Now, the majority of drivers also have a cancellation rate below 5%, so that doesn't really affect a lot of us. But for those people who are maintaining over 40% cancellation for whatever reason, that is a very big deal now. And of course, this is always subject to change, and what applies to my market may not apply to you, but this is the new standard now. I know I'm gonna get a few haters for this one, but I kind of like this update. I like how the overall standard of the completion rate now has a hard metric that seems to apply to everyone. Well, market-wise anyway. As opposed to the local standard that only crew members seem to know. Some might call it micromanagement, and honestly, what else is new? I call it clear and definitive. It is subject to change and may not apply everywhere yet, but I think it's a step in the right direction. Long time coming. Looking back, it seems like they were preparing to justify this update without getting too much hate for it. If they did this before they fixed the accept screen, the profile page, the trip radar, they might have seen even more points about Uber manipulating us. Heck, I would probably be on that side of the line, to be honest. And yes, they do manipulate us in a lot of ways, and some of us can point to concepts that sort of make sense on paper, and some can point to exact problems that have continuously occurred. But if that got loud enough, that might have been on the receiving end of legal trouble, which Uber does not want that. In terms of misclassification and overall just a lot of arbitration claims, but that's a different conversation. Mass deactivations on the way. I think we can all speculate this to a certain degree. Now that they've added definitive metrics to the Uber platform that heavily influence our longevity on it, you can bet that right around the corner, right before the holidays, right before the fiscal year ends or begins, we're going to see some mass deactivations. I can't say this for certain, and if I were to guess based on the patterns of this company and overall gig companies, September, October, we're going to see some deactivations pop out of nowhere. And for some of the most most ludicrous reasons, at least on this platform. Hey, maybe even sooner. Maybe it's already happening and I just haven't heard about it. Just make sure you're well diversified and are working towards your exit strategy. Dirty multi-appers, beware. So if you're one of those people who are delivering on Doordash, UberEats, Grubhub, and you get an order on Uber Eats, and then you get an even better order on Grubhub, and then you get an even better order on Doordash, and you're unassigning each time along the way, that is what I would define as dirty multi-apping. Now that's a significant risk to gig workers everywhere, especially if you're one of those people I mentioned earlier with a 40% cancellation rate. Can't really be that guy anymore. They are cracking down. Good standards have no problems. Now, I have a 4% cancellation rate at the moment, and that's kind of high for me. The main reason I have a manageable cancellation rate is because I have a standard that makes sense. If I get an order for $10 with a 2 to 1 dollars to mile ratio, it would be very rare for me to decline an order like that. So unless something really absurd happens or it becomes logistically impossible for me to complete an order like that, I'll get it done.
What if the merchant is being really disrespectful to you?
Usually I contact support and have them unassign me and mark them as being unsafe, as opposed to my cancellation rate taking a hit for that. New programs on the way? This might be a speculation on my part, but if Uber Eats is really starting to create some solid metric standards, there might be some new programs on the way that require having a greater standard for it, which is a good thing because some of the programs on Doordash have been absolute dog water. So this might be a great time to create a program worth working towards on Uber Eats. I don't know what it's going to look like yet, but I just got a good feeling about it. Did I miss anything? Is there something else on the Uber Eats? Is there something else about the new cancellation rate standard on Uber Eats that I've yet to cover in this video? Let me know in the comments. Let's make sure that anybody and everybody knows anything and everything they must know about the new cancellation rate standard on Uber Eats, so we can all make the most amount of money in the least amount of time in the safest possible way. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.